So, Chief John Soisson, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We have been going over a handful of questions that we might ask you this afternoon. And the first one that I wanted to know, not to give away your age, but how long have you been on the fire department?
I was hired in 1992, and I was actually 30 years old when I got hired on the fire department. So I'm in my 26th year now, of which this is my 4th year as fire chief.
So what is the actual mission statement for the fire department, and as chief, how do you encapture all of that during your daily goals?
Well, our mission statement is something we looked hard at when I became chief, and we thought, let's look and have a mission statement that kind of we can go to whenever we try to make decisions. So our mission statement, and forgive me for the reading glasses, is to protect lives, conserve property, and provide quality customer service to the citizens that we serve. It's a very basic statement, but it's more than just putting out fires. And we're there when things go wrong in people's life to come and help mitigate whatever is going wrong and help the people that we serve.
Yeah, that sounds obviously like a whole lot more than just putting out fires. I've heard you guys talk about what's the analogy, taking care of Mrs. Smith?
And that's kind of a phrase throughout the fire service. And I'm fortunate because we've got a very good young crew of guys, and everybody seems to buy into it. A lot of our guys are from Norwalk. They're Norwalk kids, and even the ones that have moved in, they've really embraced our community. And I think you guys heard my year-end report. I was surprised, but not surprised, when I got on the union's Facebook page and looked at all the things that they did community-oriented.
Yeah.
When you looked at the Operation Warm, and you looked at the
Right.
breast cancer awareness, and they were never asked by the chief to do any of this stuff. This is stuff that they all thought was the right thing to do. And I think that kind of encompasses the culture that we have. No different than when they come out and do inspections. Our goal to do inspections isn't to write up a business. It's to help them achieve the safety that we all want to achieve. And I think
Right.
they've done a good job at that.
So also, what's the role with EMS? I know that you guys are on the scene and you're dealing with things immediately at ground zero when things are going wrong. So what is it that you guys are accomplishing as soon as you're on the scene?
We have a partnership with North Central EMS, and I think it's a very positive partnership. When you look at NFPA statistics across the country, 64% of all fire runs were EMS runs in every different capacity, and there's no one definition for it. In our role, we're fortunate we have a private ambulance service that does a good job. We respond with them on life-threatening calls, or if they need a lift assist. We're in a day and age where no one agency can depend on themselves, and so we try to help each other. All of our guys are EMT basics. We have 6 paramedics on staff. And so we have we have adequate medical knowledge. We have great working relationships. We work with these people every day.
Yeah.
So the guys on the crew, and I spend a lot of time with those people in the trenches themselves, and we've all seen things that nobody should see. So there's a bond actually between those people, which makes it good. But at the end of the day, when we look at the mission statement, the reason we do it is for the people out there that we're serving.
Right.
And there's some calls we go there and we're not needed, and you turn around, come home. Sometimes we have to force a door to help get into a place. Sometimes our hands, and we're up to our elbows in first aid and trying to do things like that and assist the people that are on the ambulance. So it's a whole gamut. It's a great partnership, and I think the citizens of Norwalk are the benefactors of that.
Absolutely. So you got 6 paramedics on staff at the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
How large is the staff these days?
We have 18 guys.
Okay.
And that's one of our challenges is we tell our guys when they get hired, we do a lot with a little. And we've overcome some of it. I was looking at some statistics today. Nationwide at full-time departments, the average is over 1.5 firemen per 1,000 people.
Right.
We service 22,300 people between the city and the 2 townships. So we're at about 0.8.
Right.
But our partnership, and I mentioned the partnership with North Central, but the other thing that we've developed is great working relationships with our neighboring fire departments. And if you notice, and sometimes people wonder, well, why was an engine from Milan or Monroeville show up at your scene? When a fire comes in, you really never know what's happening. As soon as we see it's a working fire, we call for the aid of an engine, and they'll do the same. That way we always assure that we have enough people there to accomplish every job. I never want to be called on a fire scene short people, and if you wait till you're short to call for help, it's too late.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways that we've tried to bridge being our staffing issues, is by trying to ensure mutual aid. Another example of that is we just became part of the Erie County Technical Rescue Committee, and it's just basically sitting down with the departments to the north of us, which we have great proximity to, or close proximity to, and working on resources. One example, a few years ago, we had some guys from Colorado come in for rapid water rescue, and we had, I think, 4 or 5 guys from Norwalk, a half dozen guys from Sandusky and Huron and Milan. They all trained together. So now you got a base of guys that have the same advanced training. So if you have an incident and you get them on scene, they're all in the same box, to think of it, and
Right.
they can help direct your operations.
So let's talk a little bit about the future. I know that we've talked about a new fire station for about 30 years at least, and it's coming. So what do you foresee and envision the success or struggles of building this, and how we're going to utilize this in the city?
Well, I think the biggest thing for the fire station is our current station, which is, the guys are affectionate about our current station, but it limited our growth. We couldn't purchase equipment, we couldn't train properly. So I think getting the new station is the first huge obstacle. There was 3 things that I knew when I came in as chief that we had to improve on, and one was some of our operational stuff. I knew that we had to train better. I knew that we had to prepare for every incident a little bit better. And we've spent a lot of time and energy on operations and training and those things. That was the easy one, because the guys bought in, and new guys. The second one was we needed a facility.
Yes.
And the third one is we need a funding mechanism, and we need the ability to update our fleet and not have the situation that we're in now where we get so far behind.
Right.
The fire station's it's one of those things they tell you when going in, boy, this is going to be a lot of work, and you're like, yeah, I equate it to when I clean my garage. It's always
You're the
good
first in 100 years to pull this off.
It's
So,
always great when I
this
take
is-
everything out of the garage, and you're halfway through and you're thinking, oh gosh, I got to put all this back in. But it's been a great experience, even with some of the, rockiness we've had in there. And I started this project back in 2008 formally under the Lesh administration with the likes of Captain Tom Fry, and we were looking originally to build the station with their first Blue Ribbon Committee, and then we ended up trying to put together the stimulus package, and we spent hours on that. And that was a great foundation for a knowledge base going into what we're doing now. So this has been I don't want to say a fun project. I don't want to quite go there. It's been a very intense project, but the cool thing about it is the amount of help we're getting from people. Some of you guys that were involved, Chris, you helped us with a video. The architects still talk about our video. The Blue Ribbon Committee, the 40 people on that committee that helped us make decisions. My oversight committee that's meeting with us now. The people at the city, Josh Schneider's involvement, Dan Went. There was a guy by the name of Marv Ott I talk about, and Marv is
He's come out to a handful of council meetings.
Yeah,
behalf of
which
this
and
thing,
Marv is not
Yeah.
a very else, but I'm telling
No.
you. But here's the guy, Marv and Jim Wozniak have attended almost every meeting we've had with the architects, and there's been a lot of them. And these
Yeah.
are people that are not doing it for any financial gain, anything, just that they want to help us make sure we put the best product out
Right.
there. So that makes it very fulfilling. Tiring, but very fulfilling. So we're looking forward to that. We want to overcome this obstacle, and then we're going to start addressing some of the other issues. What we can do to increase staffing, what we can do to work on a better foundation for the future.
So when the Great Recession, as they call it, we were right around 08 when that happened. That was a national epidemic, if you would, that hit everybody hard. I mean, do you think that with the first incarnation of the Blue Ribbon Committee, had that not happened, had the bottom not fallen out of the national economy, would you have been building this station in 08?
Oh, I think we would have.
Yeah.
I think, and I can remember the committee meetings, and Mayor Lush was very involved in it, and she was very enthused. And then when things like Norwalk Furniture situation came up and things like that, we had to step back and take a look at it. And here again, you got to look at it from the citizens' point of view. It was in the best interest of the citizens that we step back at that point in time,
Right.
and that we do that. And it wasn't a decision made by Chief Collette at the time. It wasn't a decision made by the fire department committee. It was a decision made by the Blue Ribbon Committee. And, you're fortunate in a community like this to get people willing to spend time to help you. I mean, I put out fires and do rescues. That's what we do. We're not fire station contractors. And so that's why I feel fortunate that I've got the support of the community like we do.
Well, speaking of the support, the architects, the people that have been working on this project with you that aren't from Norwalk, I mean, they've been pretty blown away by the community support, right?
Yeah, and it's fine. The firm that we're using, they're they're out of Columbus, but they're a small firm. And Joe Weithman and B.J. Muller, the two owners of it, and Joe's from Gallion. So Joe understands a little bit of the small town thing that B.J.'s from Toledo, but they have said that they have never seen a public thing, and they've done I think this is their 24th or 25th fire station. They did like the crime lab for the city of Columbus and things like that. They have never seen a community pull together. Now I joke with them every once in a while. We get somebody says, "Hey, we want to, donate this or do that," and I think they take their papers and throw them up in the air and go, "Gosh, here we go again. We got to redesign all of this."
Right.
But they have been great, and we're really got the pedal to the metal now, because we were on the phone for 2 hours today and all the little things, but we want to get ready. It's actually, hopefully at the end of this week, is going to go for permits, and then we'll have the bid package, which nobody told me bid packages are 400 and some pages long. But hopefully that'll be ready to go to bid on July 7th.
So what are the dates are we looking forward to an actual ceremony?
I hope I live through that. No.
You will.
What we're looking for is July 7th is the day it's going to go to bid, and July 28th is the day we're going to open them. And thank goodness for Josh Schneider, because I'm like, all right, Josh, we're going to have a pre-bid meeting. He says, well, we have that a week after we give the bids. I said, well, I thought it was a pre-bid meeting. He says, no, they got to read them and then come in and ask questions. So Josh's guidance, and Josh is, when it comes to these types of projects, he's never done a whole lot above ground, but he understands the matrix in doing these, and so he's guided us through on that. July 28th is when the bid opening will be. Now, part of the contract with the architects is their recommendation, and that they have given us as a city the narrative that just because they have the lowest and best bid, and we want to make sure that the quality of the product that comes out, and so there'll be some time taken for them to write, a narrative on what they feel, and then it'll go to the Board of Control. Our hope is early August we select a contractor. We would like to get construction going, just before or after Labor Day, because now you're at the mercy. You've got to get it under roof by this winter. Mm-hmm. And this is where Marv explains to me how you do that. You put up the block walls, but probably not the brick veneer, and you put this on. And all I know is hopefully then it takes a year for construction. So I'm looking at September, October of 2018. And hopefully, we can celebrate the moving in. And we know it's a lot of work. And when I'm talking about the station, I'd be terribly remiss to not mention the two guys that work with me, Kurt Stang and Aaron Lynch. I talk to the guys on the phone, but they're the guys that sit going through the blueprints. And I can just give you an example. We're looking at air rails that came down to plug into the trucks. And those two got talking about our new trucks come with compressors in them and this, and they're like, we can save a lot of money if we get rid of them. We don't think we need them. We can do this, this, and this. And they bring it to me. We take it to the architects, and we brainstorm. There's been a lot of meetings with 4 of us in my office, conference call to those 2 down there, on the premise that, do we really need this? Are we looking down the road far enough? So those 2 guys I'm greatly indebted to the commitment they've had to this project.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the dust actually settles, what is the focus? What are the issues that are really facing Norwalk, and how are you going to work on the outreach and the education of solving some of the problems?
Well, I think the biggest thing we got to look at is, we want to, from an economic development, be able to draw people. And I go back to what Louis Fry says, this is the greatest little town in the world. I was born here, I was raised here. I've been involved here my whole life, and I truly believe that. So in our corner of the world, which is the fire department, that part of infrastructure, we want to make sure that we're the best fire department that fits into that cog when we're attracting industry. And from when Borgers come, they have some concerns about that.
Absolutely.
We were an ISO 4. That's our grading scale, the Insurance Service Organization, and we were barely into the 4. So there are some areas that we knew we needed to improve, and if you look at it, there. A couple of the areas that they judge is 40% of the ISO score is your water distribution system. And many thanks to Louis and people like that that put a lot of money underground here. We scored very, very well on our water system. 10% of the score is your dispatch. Our dispatch is fragmented. We got about, I think, 60% on that. And then 50% on the fire department. We ranked very well in trucks. We ranked very well in a lot of other things. Our training, and this was done in 2008, did not score very well. And much of it wasn't that we weren't trained, that we weren't documenting properly, we weren't doing some of the things. We really believe we've shored that up. You know, we were showing over 4,000 hours of training. Our officers are very disciplined at documenting that. And then our manpower is the other. We got 3.9 out of 15 points for manpower. And so those are things. Now there's things that we can do creatively to help that. If we actually formalize some of our mutual aid agreements, we can actually count some of those other things. So we're looking at every possibility, because we all know when I say manpower, I can see the dollar bills going in your head. And the chief, there's not a lot of money for that. But those are some of the issues that are real. And so once we get there, we want to look at that. And, I know Fremont just went to an ISO 3. Fremont mirrors our situation. They don't transport EMS. They're a fire rescue only. They do have more staffing than we do, but that is our goal. And goals aren't something you can get tomorrow. But ISO 3 is one of my big goals, is to get to that.